So this was a little different to regular children and family assessments we do. In this case, we had a young person who had been arrested for carrying a knife, and one of the reasons he had a knife, he said, because he didn't feel safe, so he was using it for protection. So the assessment was really to look at what risks are to him, to his family, and to pinpoint if there are any other extra familial risks to him. So it could be in his neighbourhood, at school, amongst his peer groups, to kind of see what ways we could keep him safe. So I was in contact with the school to see what was going on there. One of the things that Mum had said that she was most worried about her child when he was at school, just due to the other peers that were there and how much they were influencing him. We also looked at family, were there any risks to him within the family or that could support him, so family members, family friends that were useful, that he felt safe speaking to. Also his peers, what was his role amongst his peer group? Did he have good friends, bad friends? So I know that his young Hackney worker did some work around peer mapping, and just to see, as I said, what his role was. And I also had a consultant from the contextual safeguarding team to kind of help me just think slightly differently. So we had consultations, our kind of feedback as to what information I'd received, who was doing what, and she would kind of help steer me, give me some other things to think about and some other questions to present to the family. It was slightly different from a normal child and family assessment. But what was really useful was having her do a joint piece of work around safety planning. So normally would kind of look at, okay, who does he go to in an emergency? Does he know like 999, his address, etc.? Who does he talk to if he's worried? But what was really useful was having Merv help me drill down a lot more. So with the young person, we said, okay, if you don't feel safe in these areas, where would you go to? Other areas you don't feel safe in, who would you contact? Then we actually come up with a list of people that he felt, in case of emergency, he could actually go to. And also working with his mum to say, actually, you need to speak to these people as well, so that if he does, show up, one evening, that they know that actually it's an emergency situation and that's the reason why he's there. So making sure that other people on board as well is really useful, not something I'd necessarily have thought about. So one of the questions that was in the slightly different child and family assessment is, what is the main concern of the family? And for Mum, she said it was the school, and just the peers that were there. So I had a meeting with the school to help me understand, just what the issues were with the different peer groups. So once I kind of understood that, well, actually they have quite a fluid movement because it's a pupil referral unit. Then we're able to put a plan in place. So actually for them to do some work. So once we got the plan, then I was able to go back to the school and for them to look at not just what they'll do with the young person, but as a whole school to keep other children safe as well as this young person, and some strategies that they could put in place. And they were then able to consult with Merv if they wanted to for some further explanation just to how to deal with the contextual safeguarding. So there was some work that I was able to ask Luke to lead on because he had a really good relationship with the young person, so stuff around peer mapping, safety mapping. Obviously the youth offending worker worked on that preventative side, but also I was able to give some really good information as to what he had seen, what he had noticed, what changes were in place. I could use that to feedback to his mum, just see what progress, had she noticed anything, so that was quite useful.
In this particular case, it was really important to ensure that the information gathered did capture extrafamilial risk and what we felt would address that throughout our assessment. So whenever we did gather information, whenever we spoke to anybody, we ensured that we captured any extrafamilial risk elements within those conversations, and this then directly fed into our intervention plan. We wanted to make sure that we did not only adopt a systems approach assessment process, but also as part of the intervention planning. And this meant that we had to gather information about the child's network, not only at home with friends and family, but also at school. So who was the learning mentor, for example, that they had the best relationship with, or any member of staff that they had the best relationship and they felt they could actively go to and speak to. Once we had identified this person, we were able to then more meaningfully incorporate them in the intervention plan. This also meant that we didn't have to rely heavily on the safeguarding lead in school to exchange information with, and that we could look more widely at the school and look at the resources that the school could offer us in terms of professionals who we could link in with and who the child felt comfortable linking in with. An important part of our intervention plan was to link mum up with the school also. Some of mum's original concerns were around the child's peer networks within the school context, so it was really important moving forward and for this to be a sustainable intervention plan that the mother was linked in with the school and they were able to discuss any concerns about peer relationships moving forward, and this allowed for a more fluid information exchange and a safer way of working moving forward. And I feel that it was really useful in the end because it did address directly some of the concerns that were identified. A specific part of the intervention plan was to look at the school's exclusion policy and to see how we could address the fact that the child was on the cusp of exclusion through looking at his peer dynamics within the school context and trying to address those as well, because essentially that was what lay at the bottom of the core of the problem.